Call to order a regular meeting for the Normal Town Council for June 18th, 2018. Please call the roll.
Mayor Kus,
Here.
Mr. Fritzen.
Here.
Mr. McBride.
Here.
Mrs. Cummings.
Here.
Mrs. Lorenz.
Here.
Mr. Preston.
Here.
Mr. McCarthy.
Here.
We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no request for public comment, so we move right on to the omnibus agenda items considered routine and will be taken with one vote unless a council member would like to pull an item for discussion. I would like to be excused from voting on any bills I may have incurred in my duties as mayor.
I would also like to be excused for any expenses I've incurred.
And I, too, would like to be excused from an expense that I incurred.
Motion for approval.
So moved.
Hold it. Item F.
Oh.
So I wasn't paying
No,
attention.
you weren't. Item F, please.
We have a motion and a second. Items considered on the omnibus, a vote or approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of June 4th, 2018, and approval of town of normal expenditures for payment as of June 13th, 2018. Resolution conditionally reapproving a final plat for the first addition to the MP1 subdivision. A resolution awarding the bid for concrete to the low bidder, Stark Excavating Incorporated, at a price per cubic yard of $103 for high early mix and $89 for SI mix. A resolution authorizing a contract with Hare Construction Incorporated for the 2018 sanitary and storm sewer cleaning and televising contract in the amount of $341,690.60. A resolution waiving the formal bid process and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Superion LLC for the purchase of Trackit software and related professional services. And an ordinance amending the liquor code concerning video gaming for pari-mutuel premises and concerning secondary premises licenses for limited hour licensees. Please call the roll.
Mr. Fritzen.
Aye.
Mr. McBride.
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings.
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz.
Aye.
Mr. Preston.
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy.
Aye.
Mayor Kus.
Aye. Item F is a resolution approving the selection of Cardinal Incorporated for the town riparian area, creek detention basin, and wetland maintenance contract, and authorizing staff to negotiate an agreement.
Move approval.
Second.
Mr. Fritzen?
Really don't have any issue with the item itself, but just an opportunity to once again mention, there are varying opinions about creek maintenance and mowing and the like, and it sounds like a whole lot of people are going to get together and sort all that out, and I appreciate the map, although I'm sitting here trying to find certain spots here that, but there's a lot of creek right-of-way in town that we don't control and whatever, and so that adds confusion to the mix. And I guess one question I would have is, will this get us maybe closer to all the different groups that care for creek beds doing things in a similar fashion, do we think? Or will this just take care of ours and we'll continue to have varying degrees of mowing and the like?
Well, Mr. Fritzen, on the screen, just popped up for people to view is the map that you referenced that shows the waterways in the town, some of which in green are managed and owned by the town. Some blue say other, which includes the property that's on the Illinois State University campus, and also that's managed and owned by Binward, the Water Reclamation District. I'm going to invite Wayne Aldrich to come forward. Ideally, strategies moving forward at some point in the future will be cohesive to eliminate some confusion, but we'll talk to Wayne about how we could potentially get to that point.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to talk to the other folks that have responsibility for creeks and other areas like this, like Benward and Illinois State University. Illinois State actually burns some of their creek right-of-way, so they have a burn program, which is one of the appropriate ways to care for creek banks. And Benward, on the other hand, tends to prefer mowing of the area, I think because they can see things better when areas are mowed. But I think this is a great opportunity to reinforce our ordinance and just have discussions with both of these entities, ISU and Benward, about creek maintenance and discuss maybe appropriate techniques and learn from, hopefully, this contract as we develop a relationship with Cardinal, learn from what we're discovering in our own maintenance efforts and sharing that information.
I don't know if it was this item on the agenda or just that it happened to be, there was a coincidence, but today I received an email. I don't know if anybody else did or not, but some folks that I've visited with last year at length and the west side of town. But, another summer we still have creek banks that are not mowed. It is so ugly. And then it goes on, we have skunks, we have a den of foxes, on and on like that. Problems with allergies due to the weeds and unsightliness. And so I think we kind of created our own monster here in that at one point in time we used to mow or, quite a bit. And now this is like once a year or so we go in and knock
twice
some
a year
of that. Twice a year we go in and,
yes.
yeah, so these folks like to see it a little more often than that, but maybe if we, like I say, if we identify a strategy and get the right kind of things growing and care for them in a more consistent manner, then that probably answer a lot of these
Right.
problems.
That's the hope, and having eyes out there too is a big part of it. These people will actually be in those areas and can report issues with animals or erosion, things like that, report back to us what they see. So I think, and being experts kind of in that field where we're not. So maybe we do supplement the team with other folks like biologists and other people as we go along to get the best answers.
Thank you.
Ms. Lorenz?
I'll just ask a follow-up question for Mr. Aldridge, and that is, what might and I see the 2 detention basins up there in the Ironwood subdivision, what might residents up there see as improvements going forward? Because I too, like Mr. Fritzen, have often fielded questions from neighbors. You've either cut it too low, or it looks ugly, or it's too overgrown, and you've got the pests and so forth around. So what might we begin to see as improvements?
In Ironwood, it's a little bit different situation than, because folks consider the lake as their backyard, frankly. I mean, it is public, there is a public area back there, but a lot of the folks use it as their backyard. So that creates a little bit of situation with maintenance. Also, the access to those areas up in Ironwood is difficult. So I haven't noticed up there, gotten many reports of bad erosion or other things like that up in Ironwood. So again, this consultant will help us determine, any procedures that we may want to use up there. But
Okay.
again, Ironwood, I haven't noticed any issues. Now, the Park West detention, which is out west, in the Park West subdivision, there are some issues out there that, if of any of the detention basins, I think that's one that we would like to address first. There's some erosion and other issues out there that, really aren't the right thing, and some neighbors do complain about those issues out there.
Okay.
So I guess we'll see what residents have to say, and now we'll have an additional resource.
Okay, good.
Further? Please call the roll.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. The item is approved. We have no general orders and one item of new business, a motion to approve appointments and a reappointment. Motion for approval.
Move approval. Second.
As this is a personnel issue, there will be no discussion unless a council member would like to take this item to executive session. And seeing no such request, please call the roll.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. The motion is approved. Mr. Fritzen, if you would announce those appointments and reappointment.
Sure. First, to the Historic Preservation Commission, Mr. Todd Bugg, to fill a vacancy is created by a recent resignation by Ms. Kristen Allen, who served for 11 years. That's quite a long term, so we thank her for that. His appointment will serve out the remainder of the 3-year term expiring in March of 2019. He's a partner in the firm, in the Dunn Law Firm in Bloomington. To the Bloomington Normal Public Transit System, Ms. Julie Heil is being appointed to fill a vacancy created by a resignation of Jennifer McDade. Ms. Heil's term will be effective July 1st through June 30th of 2021. She's a senior performance consultant with the Heil Group and very active in different studies that we've done, some of our visioning committees and stuff over the years. And then a reappointment to the Children's Discovery Museum Foundation Board, Mr. Ben Harmon, with a term ending on June 30th of 2021.
Thank you. Before taking a motion for adjournment, are there concerns or comments? Ms. Lorenz?
I would just like to recognize a special guest here. My sister, Pat Schroeder, give us a wave, is here visiting from Texas. And she's my big sister
Welcome.
and taught me everything I know.
Further? Motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you. Way to do it.